Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and I have a problem. I bought another project car. All right, guys, welcome back. And yes, it's true. I know I have so many project cars already. And yeah, and I had to go and buy another one, didn't I? But there is method to my madness, which I'll get to later. But yes, currently, as you know, my current garage, I have the Ferrari. My 1973 Alfa Romeo 2000 GTV with a Ferrari 360 V8 swap. And I have the Frankenholer, which is my 1954 Ford F600 truck on a Toyota Coaster bus chassis. And most recently, I have my Maserati 222 SE bi-turbo. If you missed the video where I introduced the Maserati, my new project, I will put a link up above so you can catch up. And like always, please comment, tell me how crazy you think I am, etc. in the comments, and like the video. That all does help out that crazy algorithm. Not in the shot here, I also have Harry, my very well used, loved 911, which is not going anywhere. That is my, if any car's a forever car, that Harry is it. I also have Barb, not Bob. Barb, my 1993 Mercedes E220, which is, yeah, problematic. And that is currently on the market. And by the time this video comes out, it may have already been gone. So it is currently for sale, and that is not going to be around for much longer. All right, and that brings me to this, my new project car, or sort of. This is my 1984 Maserati 425i bi-turbo. So as you may notice, it is strikingly similar to the other Maserati 222 SE that I have. And there is a method to my madness, but let me just take you around this and show you what I bought, because it's definitely not in as good a condition as the other Maserati. So straight away, you can see on the bonnet that we have some faded paint, and there's some telltales here of the condition of this car. And it's really strange to see a car with this much rust in Australia, particularly in an odd place like on the corner of the bonnet here and things like that. As we travel around, we'll notice it actually has some pretty cool Simmons B45s on it. So these were the wheel to have back in the day. Yeah, a lot of people will remember these. These are 15s. I am not sure what the stud pattern is on these, but the wheels are probably one of the best additions to the car. But then if I come around a bit further, you can actually see that this car is absolutely full of rust. So all of these seals are all totally rusted. There's rust here. There's rust on the lower part of the door here. And as I come back, you'll see it's a four-door. And even along here, there's just odd places to rust that badly. Around here, around the back of the window, it's all so rusty. It is a very, very rusty car. Coming around the back, you can see it's actually got the same tail lights that's in my car, the same boot badge. Driver's side, more rust around here. The rear door actually seems to be reasonable. Oh no, there is some rust spots here as well. So there's basically rust on every single panel of the car. It is definitely rough. We have a slow leak in this tyre that was full when I got it off the trailer. As we come inside, we've got the nice plush, very, very soft and cushy Maserati interior. To be honest, it's probably a nicer colour combination than my current car, although this steering wheel is really bad. It's tiny, and yeah, that's a really, really ugly steering wheel. Sitting in the car, the dash is slightly different. Somebody's stolen the cool clock out of the middle, which is disappointing. A much more manual version of the temperature controls, and this has a Maserati Pioneer stereo, so that would have been the original unit. And compared to my car, This is a much smarter position to put the seat switches as opposed to mine, which are down tucked underneath on the inside on both sides. Oh, this has them down there as well, but it has switches here as well. So that looks like a much better idea. We have an old school turbo timer there. So under the bonnet, this is still a twin turbo V6, but in this case, this is the early version of this engine. So this is a 2 litre. My 222 SE is a 2.8 litre. They had a reputation for being unreliable. Now the radiator is out of the car. I don't know what was going on. The previous owner didn't know a lot of details, said that the engine should run, but it had wiring issues, and that's definitely obvious here. I don't know if that looks like it's been eaten by rats or something. So we may have a look at this and even see if we can start it. The oil looks like it actually has been changed semi-recently. There is, there's no colour to it. It is very, very clean oil. All right, so you've seen that this thing is a little rough around the edges, to say the least. And you may be wondering what my plans for it are. And ultimately, it's just a parts car. You've probably guessed that already. And basically, the big selling point for this is that it is already a manual. And from my research, I gather that the gearbox is exactly the same on this early car as what they use on the later cars. So I've got the gearbox, I've got the pedal, I've got at least some of the tail shaft. The tail shaft I'm going to have a look at and see if I can swap over bits. Because this is a 4-door, it's a longer wheelbase, so the tail shaft will be slightly different length. But I've got clutch and flywheel, that may not fit. I've still got to have a look at that as well. But there's a bunch of the bits that if I tried to buy them separately would have cost me a whole heap anyway, where I can sort of swap over, put the automatic gearbox in this and all the bits that I don't use, swap it over and sell this off again. Probably a lot less than it would cost me to try and buy all the parts individually. That said, I still want to have a bit of a go and see if this engine will start, if it will turn over, if it's seized, whatever. I do not know. Like we saw, the oil and stuff looks good. So let's get under there and have a little bit of a play and see if we can, for starters, see if we can get it to turn over, at least by hand. So I just put a socket on the end of the crank and try and turn it over. It actually has compression. If I take it out of gear, okay, there's not much compression in that. Now, I'm not giving up hope yet because this is a very low compression engine anyway, being an early turbo. It turns over, but there's not a lot of compression there. Definitely turns over much better when you take it out of gear. All right, so next thing to look at is all of these wires are quite badly damaged. I mean, some of this looks like it's just headlight loom and things like that, but either way, I'm not happy with all of this mess, so let's try and tidy this up before we try and add any power to anything. So here my main goal is to try and stop any major short circuits before I start adding power to this system, so I'm just wrapping everything in electrical tape. Alright, I've got a jump pack, so I'm going to... That made me jump. The jump pack is also a tyre inflator, and yeah, that made me jump. All right, let's keep the positives away from everything that it needs to stay away from. All right, let's have a little look. We have power. Let's see if it will crank. Let's just see. And most importantly, we haven't let the smoke out yet. Ooh, it does turn over. All right, it actually sounds like it has some compression. So that side of it is pretty good. Now, I don't expect it to be able to run. Who knows how old the fuel is, but I can hear a fuel pump turning over, like kicking in when I turn the power on. Maybe it'll run. We need to check for spark and check for fuel. So let's delve a little bit deeper and see what we can find. So first step is pull some spark plugs and just have a look at what we're dealing with. All right, I just pulled out spark plug number 1. Now, It's got a bit of corrosion and stuff around it, but if you look at this end, this is brand new. This is never fired, so that is not necessarily a good sign. It was also finger tight. I did not need to put a socket on it. I just put my fingers on it, and I could undo it just with this. So not a good sign, but I'm going to go through. I'm going to blow out. There's a bunch of crud around the spark plugs. So I'm going to go through, blow out around all of the spark plugs, tighten them up again, and then we're going to just try and crank it and see if we got some spark. Now, I did find that the other plugs were tight, but number 1 was the only loose one. But it still tells me somebody's been playing around with this before and still couldn't get it started. Number 2, also brand new. And after a quick examination, I found that all the rest of the plugs were pretty much the same. Corroded as if they'd been sitting there for a long time, but brand new as in somebody has swapped them in and played around with it a long time ago and couldn't get it started and gave up on it. All right, that's not a good sign that the spark plugs, they all seem to be brand new. Number 1 was loose, so somebody's obviously played around with this, potentially tried to start it before, so I'm not holding out hope that it will actually start. But I've disconnected the fuel line coming from the tank. I'm going to just try and turn it on now and see if there's any fuel coming in there. I don't actually want fuel coming from there at the moment because that's going to be very old. Whatever's in there, it's not going to be good. But we'll just see if any fuel pumps through and we'll go from there. So let's try cranking it again or try turning it on and seeing if fuel comes out. All right, I hear something going on at the back. I'm not sure if it's a fuel pump or not, but either way, it doesn't seem like it's getting any fuel at the moment, which is fine. That's a good thing. What I want to try now is I'm going to disconnect this, get the spark plug out, and see if we've actually got spark. And the way I'm checking for spark is I am just resting the end of the plug on a part of the engine to ground it out, and hopefully when I crank it, that should tell me whether there is a spark or not. In this case, there's nothing, and I delve further and start having a bit of a look at the distributor. But to be honest, I really don't know what I'm looking at with this stuff. Now, I go over and check the coils as well with my power probe, and they are getting power, but I have zero knowledge of how this ignition system is supposed to work. So there you have it, my new project car. It's not really a project. It is just going to be attacked for parts and then sold again. It's not something I need to keep around, but it was definitely much easier getting this to get all the bits I need than try and find them all individually. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and you'll join me on the Maserati process of tearing into this and tearing into Rodolfo, which is the 222 SE that I have. It is named for the father of the Maserati brothers who actually started the Maserati company. And yeah, I've decided that that is Rodolfo. I am not sure what this one's name is. This one's a little bit sad, and yeah, it may be Alfieri 1. Anyone who knows the history of Maserati will probably get that one. But in any case, that's it for this week. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll see you on the next one. See you guys.